Hello and welcome back to the channel. If you would like to see what velocity and groups that I was able to achieve with Alliant Reloder 16 and the Nosler 140 grain RDF in my 6.5 Creedmoor Ruger precision rifle, stick around. Hello and welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you would like to learn what loads work best for me, the tools that I use to make my groups smaller, subscribe to the channel and leave your feedback in the comment section below to help me and the rest of the community here improve our load development. Obviously, in this week's video, guys, we're talking about Alliant Reloder 16 and the 140 grain Nosler RDF. Guys, I've really been so excited to talk about the data from this that I barely can contain myself. I'm going to apologize up front. I'm hoping I'm not going to get too wordy. I will tell you guys, I'll put a link in the description to the time we actually start reviewing the data for those of you that just want to see the data and velocity. But I do want to go a little bit of history since it's the first time we've shot Reloder 16 on this channel. A little bit about what it is and why we've done it. Guys, after doing a little bit of research, from the best I can tell, Reloder 16 was actually released to the public somewhere around August 2016, which means from the release of this video, it's somewhere about an entire year old. At risk of sounding a little bit like an Alliant commercial for a minute, we'll talk a little bit about Reloder 16 and why we actually are trying it. Now, first of all, if you go to Alliant's website and look up Reloder 16, you're going to find all these wonderful features. They advertise world-class temperature stability, outstanding pressure and velocity efficiency. It has a burn speed slightly faster than Reloder 17. And again, if you guys are fans of the channels, we've had some really great velocities with Reloder 17, but well within the 4350 burn speed. It also has a decoppering additive and good lot-to-lot consistency. I'll try to end the commercial there, guys. One of the goals in this channel is to find something besides H4350 to shoot. If you're not super familiar with 6.5 Creedmoor, just know that basically Hodgkin's H4350 seems to be the gold standard for reloading powders. I've had really good luck on this channel. I understand why it is, but H4350 is a little bit of a unicorn powder to find. Even though I do have some, I do sympathize with you guys that are trying to find something that works just as good or better. I don't have the groups to prove it yet, but I do think that we're really moving in the right direction. I'll warn you up front, the groups in this video are not going to be spectacular. If you've seen the Nosler 140 grain RDF groups that I've shot before, we're going to go right down that same train. My rifle and this bullet, as far as group sizes, just don't get along. The real story today, guys, is we're talking about Reloder 16. I'll have some more loads in the future with this, obviously based on the results that I got today. Before we get into the results, the source of load data for this today is basically Sierra's website. And that is actually where I got the load data for today's video. Now, on Sierra's website for the 142 grain hollow point bow tail, which is what we're basically comparing it to today, they start off at 35 grains and go all the way to 43.5. Now, for today's video, we're not going to quite start that low, but we do go all the way down to 40 grains, and we're going to go all the way up to that 43.5 grains that they talk about. Sierra's data on that 142 grain projectile, they're talking 2,800 feet per second in their load data on Reloder 16 for the 142 grain projectile. That is a very impressive speed for this heavy of a bullet in 6.5 Creedmoor. A little bit of a warning, I don't like warnings, but this is a little bit off the beaten path and not exactly the published load data from Sierra. I did have one of my esteemed viewers that has Quick Load run a little bit of pressure information. This is actually, according to Quick Load, is a pretty hot load. Even though Sierra predicted this to be about 2,800 feet per second, Quick Load is actually estimating the velocity all the way up to 2,848 feet per second. Quick Load's estimate is 60,241 psi, which is very, very close, if not exceeding the max pressure allowed by the 6.5 Creedmoor cartridge. Obviously, guys, we did not just start shooting max load. We worked up this very careful. If you're going to try any of this in your rifle, obviously, standard reloading precaution of starting low and working your way up is needed. So guys, without further ado, let's get into the data like we normally do. Today we're shooting the Nosler 140 grain RDF, part number 49842. We're going to start at 40 grains, work all the way up to 43.5. Sierra was our source of load information for today. The overall length that we're shooting today is 2.880. For reference for you guys, the distance to lands is 2896, so we're working with about a 15 thousandths jump today. The brass we used for today's video was once fired Norma brass that we used from our brass comparison experiment. Very unusual for me, this was actually neck-only sized brass. The primer we used for today's test was actually CCI 250, which is CCI's large rifle magnum primer. If you guys are familiar with the channel, you have seen my large rifle primer test. If not, I'll put a card up. Go check that out. We've actually found with some of these slower burning powders in the 6.5 Creedmoor case that we've gotten much better statistics with these magnum primers. That is why we use them in today's testing. So guys, without further ado, let's get into today's test data. Guys, I'm going to give you two estimated velocities. The first one is going to be based on Sierra's data. The other one is going to be based roughly on the information from Quick Load. So at 40 grains, the estimated velocity was 2594 or 2645. The actual velocity we achieved was 2644 feet per second, a standard deviation of 11.8 with an extreme spread of 30, but 0.834 MOA. Warming up quickly to 41.3 grains, our estimated velocity went to 2670 feet per second or 2720. Our actual achieved velocity was 2723. Our standard deviation dropped immediately to 4.5, extreme spread of 10, but a 1.041 MOA group. At 42.5 grains, our estimated velocity went to 2741 or 2790, but our actual velocity achieved was 2818, standard deviation of 6.6, extreme spread of 17, but a 1.128 MOA group. At 43 grains now, your estimated velocity was 2770 or 2820. Our actual achieved velocity was 2855, standard deviation of 7.2 with an extreme spread of 20. Group size on that round was 1.802 MOA. At 43.5 grains, our estimated velocity was either 2800 or 2848, but our actual velocity was 2880, standard deviation of 4.7 with an extreme spread of 11. Unfortunately, with a group size of 2.369 MOA. So guys, if this wasn't a handful for you, I don't know what is. This might be the most interesting and disappointing load development test that we've done on this channel to date. So guys, since I've had such good luck with Reloader 17, I was really anxious to try Reloader 16, especially with Sierra's data insinuating we were going to be able to see such wonderful velocities. Obviously, as far as the powder is concerned, it didn't disappoint. Obviously, guys, I'm aware with this Nosler RDF, 2.36 MOA is not a desirable group by any stretch of the imagination. However, I'm not too disappointed with today's testing because simply my rifle just doesn't like these projectiles at all. Out of today's test, guys, I'm really concentrating on the velocity and standard deviations that we were able to achieve. Obviously, I'm not going to promise that your extreme spread of 11 is going to easily be achieved at your max load. However, I was very interested to be able to see a velocity as high as 2880 with such a low standard deviation. With this type of velocity, I'm sure brass is what everyone wants to see next. Like I always do, guys, I'll put the brass on the screen. If you guys are seeing what I'm seeing, really nothing at all to worry about. Because I'm very impressed. I don't think it's all the normal brass or all of the powder. This particular combination basically is leaving not even an ejector mark on the brass. There is a little bit of flattening on the primers, but I've certainly seen much more with my H4350 loads at velocities that are an easy 150 feet per second lower than this. The short story on today's video, guys, I'm very impressed with this powder. You can probably see that there's some bullets loaded next to that. Those are the 142 grain Sierra Match Kings, basically loaded under these identical loads with Hornady brass. When I get a chance to shoot those guys, those will be coming right down the pike. Kind of a point of interest, I'll throw my velocity data on the screen here. If you guys look at the velocity data, one thing of interest, you will notice obviously from shot to shot to shot, the velocity data did not trend that as the barrel got warmer, that the velocity was actually climbing in these loads due to temperature. I actually thought it was interesting. If you look at this data, a lot of times the follow-up shots are a little bit slower than the previous shot, which basically to me says the temperature stabilization of this Reloader 16 powder is actually working pretty well. All in all, I'm very excited with the load test today, even though the groups were kind of poor. I really don't know what it's going to take to get this Nosler RDF to shoot. Guys, if you're getting this bullet to shoot, please post something in the comments below. In my Ruger Precision Rifle, I'm just really not seeing any reliable loads. The .834 MOA group isn't horrible, but obviously a velocity of 2644 is not what we're going for. Obviously, guys, as the velocity increased in this, the group size increased right along with it. Based on the statistics today, I really do think that we have a very good competitor for H4350. In fact, if we can get the bullet to shoot underneath this load, I certainly think this will be my new go-to powder. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Are you guys excited about this Reloader 16 data? Are you guys having luck with Reloader 16 yourselves? Another thing, guys, are you using this Nosler 140 grain RDF? Are you guys getting this thing to shoot? If so, I'd love to know what loads you guys are getting this to shoot with. Thank you guys for watching today's video. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Turn on those notifications so you get notified when I post a new video. Thank you for all the new subscribers to the channel, and thank you to the old subscribers for coming back and watching another video. Until next week, guys, stay safe in small groups.